Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mechanics You Didn't Know Existed. This is a new little, maybe a series, maybe mini series on character mechanics in SWGOH that you just did not realize were there, were operating, or maybe you did at one point and you forgot, maybe you read about it, but because the kits are so complicated, it just went by the wayside. I'm going to look at a couple Galactic Legends and a couple of other staple characters that you didn't realize had surprising mechanics. So first I'm looking at Jedi Master Kenobi, and a lot of his kit stands out in action. They assist calling the protection up and stuff like that. But something in his unique stands out to me as something that I don't always notice or didn't always notice, but now I do and I take advantage of it. Whenever another light side ally targets JMK with an ability to dispel all debuffs on him, that part is kind of obvious that you see it happening, but then he gains mastery equal to 10% of their current mastery, so the light side ally, for the whole encounter. When JMK targets another Galactic Republic or Lasufu ally with an ability, he dispels buffs on them and grants them mastery equal to 20% of his current mastery. And they have to have more than 0 mastery, so basically they have to be at relics. And where this comes into play the most for me, it doesn't come into play as much in PvP, but in raids, when I'm using JMK for the Heroic Sith raid, which I do often, you want to prioritize targeting Kenobi. So that means when it seems like it doesn't matter, like if you're putting Master's Training on someone, if it's on everyone and you just got to target someone to call the Mass Assist, target Kenobi, because he'll get some mastery from that. With C-3PO, if JMK and Cat have 3 stacks of translation and it seems like it doesn't matter who you're giving it to and you just want to call the assist, target Jedi Master Kenobi. If everyone has Sheen or Shien, and you just want to swap turn meter and both C-3PO and JMK are low, swap with Jedi Master Kenobi. It'll help ramp up his mastery faster, and then in turn ramp up Cat's mastery faster, so you can blow through the Heroic Sith raid much faster than you otherwise would have. Next up, we got Kenobi's Revenge of the Sith counterpart, Lord Vader, and most of what I'm going to be talking about is focused around dark side unaligned Force user mechanics. So this one's a little surprising. So everyone knows this top part, where he's losing all his protection, making it max health, but dark side unaligned Force users gain speed up and stealth for 2 turns. So that really screws up with any speed calculations you might need if that's a key cog in your counter to Lord Vader. So just keep in mind, if they're an Ufu and they're dark side, they're going to get speed up and you won't be able to target them right away. You pretty much should be used to Maul being in stealth, but sometimes it's hard to notice that he gives speed up. And then his leadership ability, a lot of this is mostly clear, but a key clause that I've been taking advantage of lately is if a dark side unaligned Force user ally was present at the start of the battle, did I say present? Present at the start of the battle. For the rest of the battle, all Empire or dark side Ufus take 30% reduced damage from enemy light side unaligned Force user attacks. So why that's really important right now is my counter choice to Rey, Ben Solo, and usually Jedi Training Rey in GAC is Lord Vader. And Rey's biggest damage dealing attack is the ultimate, which does true damage, so defense isn't going to do a dang thing. It's not going to stop anything, but if you take at least an Ufu with you, I have Maul off somewhere else, so he's not with him. I just stick Kylo Ren and Mass with him, and it could be anyone. It could be original Kylo Ren. You're going to reduce the amount of damage you're taking by 30%, and that's not trivial. That means you can take the dispels on your protection up and take tons of armor shred and still be able to, well, armor shred's not going to matter for the ultimate. You're still going to be able to survive that ultimate, even if you lose all that protection up at the wrong time. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. And also there's other stuff that I didn't necessarily notice for a while until I was trying to figure out why he was so unkillable in 5v5 with his set 4 Datacron. That's because whenever you critically hit him, or a dark side Ufu or Empire ally, you lose 30% crit damage for 3 turns. So that might be obvious to plenty. But when Kylo Ren is the key counter to Lord Vader, at the beginning, if you're critting that whole team, you're losing so much crit damage, and your damage is going to be, even if you're siphoning mastery, that first hit you're doing across everyone is going to be bigger than after you siphon, because you're losing tons of crit damage. Admiral Piet, the Executor Chief himself. So looking at his abilities, you pretty much know a lot of what he's doing. I'm not looking at the leadership because no one really uses that. You know what Emperor's Trap does. It's giving you tons of offense and potency. This is actually a little mini surprising mechanic, but it's not my focus. If Darth Vader's an ally, Vader and Piet have 20% accuracy, potency, and tenacity. It's kind of nice. It's really hard to notice. But what I wanted to focus on is this ability. So everyone knows that what you do this for is you want to target someone to be able to assist Piet because they have inevitable failure. You give offense up and you mark someone. So the marking and the offense up is more obvious. But what's not obvious is the inevitable failure actually does something. And, you know, when he came out, this might have been clear. People are looking at it, or if you just got him, you're looking at it. But if the person you mark does die, eventually you're going to get huge boosts to Piet based on that. So 1 stack, 5% max health. Nothing. 10 stacks, 20% max health and max protection. It's okay. 15, 50% max health, max protection, and offense. Now we're talking. But if they have 20 stacks, you're getting 100% max health and max protection, 300% offense, and 25% speed. So that means if you've got a battle going a while with troopers and then most of your team dies, especially the one that had inevitable failure and he had a lot of stacks, usually that's Dark Trooper, and you think you're going to lose, just see if you can get back to Piet and use an AoE. I saw Zareth Prevails beat a Sith Empire team like Darth Revan, Darth Malak, and it looked hopeless, and he was deciding whether to back out or not. He used the AoE, and Piet, it just did massive damage, just tons of damage, and killed Darth Revan and Malak in one shot. So this is no joke. Don't forget about the inevitable failure. Next we got Bastila Fallen, or Bad Basti, as some may say. And she has a veritable cornucopia of mechanics you may have forgotten about. She has 3 uniques, which is crazy. If Darth Revan is in the leader slot, Bastila and Darth Revan get 70% max health, Hellsteel, and Revan recovers protection from corrupted battle meditation, but that's not it's not a huge deal. I think people are more aware of this one. Allies are immune to debuffs during any ability used by an enemy with corrupted battle meditation. So if they have corrupted battle meditation, they can't lane debuffs. That one I think people notice more. If JKR is on the enemy squad, she also gets advantage in Foresight on the start of Revan's turns. That's kind of nice. You don't see this matchup anymore, but this was definitely the Jedi Knight Revan meta killer, so stuff is baked in there. This is huge to me. I've talked about it before in ranking videos, but her and the leader have 50% defense, potency, and tenacity, and gain Foresight, so that you see the Foresight. But that is crazy stats to give. So if Darth Revan's the leader, she's given like 70% max health and Hellsteel, but then also all this defense, potency, tenacity. Lots of stuff going on. And then when her leader is another Sith, so this happens with Palpatine, and it can happen with Darth Revan or anyone. When anyone's inflicted with Deathmark, Fear, or Shock, they both get 5% offense up to 100% for the rest of the battle. So that happens a lot under Darth Revan. So you get that AoE Fear, you get an AoE Shock. For both of those, that's 25% offense. So that's why if you try to use Darth Revan and Bastila Shan outside of a Darth Revan lead situation, you'll see how much their damage is nerfed. They seem like they're using squirt guns instead of force lightning. And then this one, what's interesting to me is the minus 30% critical chance and counter chance, which is doubled if you're not a Jedi or a Sith. So this is interesting. It's like it's calling out actual Force users before the unaligned Force user tag. So it's interesting that Jedi get exempt from this. So I guess they can use the Force, so they're immune to the critical chance, the extra critical chance reduction and extra counter chance reduction. But yeah, these are all great stats and uniques that make me think Bastila Shan Fallen is an insanely good character. Wat Tambor, a clear staple character that's used so much that some of his abilities are actually forgotten. So what you know by heart basically is Massive Manufacture. He gets his bonus turn and then he gives the text. So you pretty much know what the text do. You remember that. It's clear what his basic is doing. Your heal over time. Sometimes it removes turn meter. And you're getting protection up here. And triggering dots. Trigger all damage over time. So maybe you didn't notice that, but I think a lot of people do. What people forget about, I think, is his Overseer unique. And this is going to come into play because of Trench. So if Wat Tambor does find a permanent home with Separatists now, this is actually going to kick into play, whereas it hasn't been for the longest time. At the start of the battle, other Separatists and Darkside Droid allies, so that's interesting, it's not just Separatists. It could be like IG-88. They gain max protection equal to 30% of Watt's max health. So if you are using them on that team, you want a mod for health, and you're going to really beef up the team. This also makes Grievous... I remember this making Grievous teams harder to deal with a younger account because it was so hard to get through. And then all Separatist and Darkside Droid allies have 30% critical avoidance while they have heal over time. So that's going to be a lot of the time. It's not going to be all the time, but you do have heal over time a lot with him. And then whenever an ally with tech, you know that. So whenever someone with tech uses special ability, he's called to assist. But I think that's very interesting. These are some great stat boosts. Trench has a lot of nice stat boosts for Separatists. So this could go somewhere after we get Trench. Last one I'm going over today is Fennec Shand, and if you've noticed in a pattern, I am looking at her unique. Uniques are the easiest ones to miss. So it's clear when you face Lord Vader, she ramps her damage. But why does she? It's whenever she gains tenacity up, she gains 10% offense, stacking until the end of the encounter. You get 20 if you got Bam on the team, which isn't happening as much. It's kind of better right now with her, Grief, and Original Mando. But also this matters because there's a level 3 Datacron in set 5 that I've been making sure I pair with Fennec. And that's the one where when you're Despelled, you get Tenacity up at the end of the turn. So you actually trigger this twice when you're using that. When Grief cleanses, he gives Tenacity up to the team. And then also at the end of that turn, then you get Tenacity up again. So you're getting 20% offense with her. That's why I was able to beat the Lord Vaders with the Protection Up Datacron, even though it's really hard to get through that. And you only got one Dispel on the team. I was able to get through because I was able to ramp up those stats so much over time. And that's it for now. I have some others I want to go over in the future, but I want to keep this video a little shorter. I could go on for a while, but let me know some surprising mechanics you think people miss a lot of the time, and maybe I'll cover it next time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think.